The tray slid through the slot with metallic scrape that echoed down the tier. It was the kind of sound you don't forget. Short, sharp, final. Inside the cell, Marcus Reed didn't move at first. He just stared at it. Steam barely rose from food. The smell hit the air slowly, stale, sour, like someone that had already given up. This wasn't hunger anymore. This was something else. Because in maximum security prisons, food isn't just about eating. It's about control. It's about power. And sometimes it's the difference between staying human or becoming something the prison wants you to be. Marcus didn't know it yet, but that tray in front of him, it was the beginning of a lesson he would never forget. Before we go deeper into the story, subscribe, because the reality inside maximum security prisons is nothing like what you've seen in movies. And once you hear it, you won't look at it the same way again. Marcus Reed had done time before. County jail, a lower security facility, places where you could still hear laughter, arguments, life. But this place was different the moment he stepped in. No voices, no movement, just doors and silence. Maximum security wasn't built for rehabilitation. It was built for containment. Concrete walls thick enough to swallow sound. Steel doors that shut out everything. Even time felt slower here. When Marcus was processed, the officer barely looked at him. 3 meals a day. Don't miss them. It sounded simple. At the time, Marcus thought it was. By the time Marcus reached his cell, the hunger had already started creeping in. He hadn't eaten since early morning. Processing took hours. Waiting took longer. And in a place like this, no one cared if you were hungry. He sat on the thin mattress, listened to the silence. Then, clang, the tray slot opened. A hand pushed the tray in. Then it slammed shut. That was it. No words. No interaction. Just a transaction. Marcus stepped forward slowly, like he wasn't sure what he'd find. And when he looked down, he understood something instantly. This wasn't food meant to be enjoyed. The tray looked simple. Too simple. Oatmeal thick, gray, sticking together like paste. 2 slices of bread, slightly damp. Powdered eggs, pale, almost rubbery. Marcus sat on the edge of the bed and took a bite. No flavor. Just texture. Just something to fill space. He chewed slowly, swallowed, then stared at the tray again, because something felt off. Not just the taste. The intention. It didn't feel like food made for people. It felt like something designed to meet a requirement. Calories in. Survival maintained. Nothing more. From nearby cells, he heard faint scraping sounds. Other inmates eating. No talking. No complaints. Just acceptance. That's when Marcus realized this wasn't temporary. This was routine. The meals kept coming. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Always on time. Always the same pattern. The trays slid in. The silence stayed. The food never changed much. Overcooked vegetables that had lost their color. Mystery meat that tasted processed, distant from anything real. Soups so thin they barely held substance. Marcus began noticing something else. Some trays came back untouched. Other inmates just stopped eating. At first, he didn't understand why, until he started forcing himself to eat everything. Not because it was good, but because something inside him told him he might need it later. The first time Marcus heard about it, it came as a whisper through the wall. "You ever get the loaf?" Marcus frowned. "What's that?" Silence for a second. Then, "You don't want it." That was all. No explanation. No details. Just enough to make him think. And in a place like this, the unknown is always worse than the truth. It didn't take long before Marcus saw it for himself. A few cells down, an inmate stopped getting regular trays. Instead, the slot opened, and a single block was pushed through. Dense, compact, no separation, no variety, just one solid mass. That was a loaf. A mixture of everything. Beans, vegetables, bread, leftovers, ground together and baked into something that barely resembled food. The inmate didn't complain, didn't shout. He just stared at it, the same way Marcus had stared at his first tray. But this time, there was something else in his eyes. Defeat, That's when Marcus started understanding the system. Food wasn't random. It was strategic. Follow the rules you eat, break them, and eating becomes something else. Something harder. Something humiliating. Hunger wasn't just a physical feeling here. It was psychological. It slowed people down, made them compliant, took away their energy to resist. And the worst part? It worked. Marcus watched strong men become quiet, watched loud voices disappear, all because of something as simple as food. Then came commissary day, the closest thing to freedom inside the prison. A list, a pencil, a choice. Instant noodles, peanut butter, crackers, candy bars, real food, or at least something closer to it. Marcus ordered carefully, because money didn't come easy. And once the items arrived, he noticed something immediately. The atmosphere changed. People paid attention. Because commissary wasn't just food. It was value. It was leverage. It was power. If this is changing how you see prison life, hit the like button. It helps push these real stories out. Because most people never hear what actually happens behind those walls. Marcus learned quickly. You don't eat everything at once. You don't show what you have. And you never let anyone think you're weak. Because in maximum security, even food can make you a target. He started saving small portions, trading carefully, watching everything. Because one mistake could cost more than just a meal. It started small. Like most problems in prison, Marcus had extra ramen. Another inmate didn't. At first, it was just conversation, then tension, then silence. And in prison, silence is never a good sign. That night, his tray didn't come. At first, Marcus thought it was a mistake. Then another meal passed. Nothing. That's when it hit him. This wasn't about food anymore. This was pressure. Hunger crept in fast. Stronger than before. Sharper. More demanding. And slowly, it started changing how he thought. The voice came through the wall again. You hungry? Marcus didn't respond at first. You don't have to be. That was the offer. Simple. Dangerous. Because nothing in prison is free. And Marcus knew the moment he accepted, he wouldn't just be getting food. He'd be stepping into something deeper. Still, he said yes. The food came. Extra bread, peanut butter, small things. But in that moment, they felt like everything. Marcus ate slowly, carefully. But even as he did, he knew something had changed. Because in maximum security, every meal has a price. And he had just agreed to pay it. Weeks passed. Marcus adjusted, stayed quiet, followed the rules. But he never forgot that feeling of hunger, of dependence, of needing something as basic as food and not being able to control it. That's when it finally clicked. The prison didn't just control your body. It controlled your needs. Years later, Marcus sat at a table, a real plate of food in front of him. Hot, fresh, normal, but he didn't eat right away. He just stared at it because part of him was still there, in that cell, waiting, listening for the tray, and wondering if this meal would be enough, if this story stayed with you. Subscribe, because the truth about life inside prison isn't what people think. And once you understand it, you never see it the same way again. Inside maximum security prisons, even food becomes a weapon.